Europe, Europe, yes, Europe, no nation. What it do? Y'all already know what time it is, man. It's time to get in here and break down NC State this week. We get NC State at home this Saturday at 4 o'clock on the ACC network. So y'all already know. Without further ado, you know what we doing, man. We breaking down the strengths and weaknesses of NC State's offense, the key players. Same thing with defense. I'm going to give you 3 keys to NC State win and 3 keys to an FSU win. And I'm going to give you 2 key matchups that I'm looking forward to watching. And then I'm going to try to give you a score prediction at the end. Y'all bear with me. I promise not to hold y'all long. Let's get into it. NC State is coming into this game with a record of 6-2. Just a little background on their schedule. They beat South Florida 45-0. They lost to Mississippi State 24-10. They beat Furman. They beat Clemson. They beat Louisiana Tech. They beat Boston College. They lost to Miami by 1. And they beat Louisville last week. Very strong team. A very I can't even think of the word right now. A very experienced team as well. Very experienced. Oh God, dog. Why I couldn't think of experienced? But anyways, a very experienced team. So let's get right into some strengths and weaknesses on the offensive end. As far as strengths go on the offensive end, I'm just looking over this offense, just watching some film. Everything is a strength for these guys, man. Everything. I mean, they run the ball well. They pass the ball well. They protect their quarterback well enough. I mean, he's only been sacked 12 times in eight games. So yeah, they do a lot of things well. On offense, I can't find any cheeks in their armor on offense. I really can't. As far as weaknesses, like I said, I don't really see any. Everything they do on offense is something that they love to do. They do what fits them best, right? So whatever's inside of their scheme is that's what they're running, and they run it to perfection. I mean, when I say perfection, I'm going to run off some numbers here and use the key players, and you'll hear what I'm saying. So let's go ahead and get into some key players. Like I said, no, for strengths, everything. Weaknesses, I can't really find a true weakness with this team here. All I would say is the running game isn't as potent as the passing game per game as that goes, but they still are averaging 4.4 yards a carry. They got 10 rushing touchdowns on the year, so they are doing something there as well too. So there's nothing that I can really pinpoint and say that they don't do well, and they really do everything else well. So for some key players, we got quarterback Devin Leary. Leary is 189 out of 286 for 2,161 yards. He has a 66.1 completion percentage with 21 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, and he has been sacked 12 times this year. Not really a running quarterback. He has 31 attempts for negative 37 yards. I'm pretty sure most of that negative is coming from sacks. He does have 2 rushing touchdowns, though, as well. Leary is a guy who's they're going to fling the ball around. They're going to throw the ball around a lot. And that's just what they do. At running back, you have Zonovan Knight, who has 101 attempts for 542 yards and 3 touchdowns. In the passing game, Zonovan also has 12 receptions for 68 yards. Also at running back, you have Ricky Person Jr., who has 94 attempts for 459 yards and 4 touchdowns. Ricky Persons also has 19 receptions for 151 yards and a touchdown. So these guys coming out of the backfield are very, very, very dangerous catching the ball. Listen, Leary going to throw the ball to these boys. He going to throw it to them, especially if they get open, especially if they get a nice matchup they want against linebackers or maybe even a safety. As far as wide receiver goes, Emeka Emezi is their leading receiver. This guy is a beast, straight beast. 42 receptions, 543 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's averaging 12.9 yards a reception. Another wide receiver, they have Thayer Thomas, who has 37 receptions, 399 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And he's averaging over 10 yards a catch. And you have Devin Carter, who is their third leading receiver, who has 23 receptions, 366 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And he is more of the big play threat. He's averaging a whopping 15.9 yards per reception. All in all, if we break down this NC State offense, man, these guys want to get the ball. They want to go up top. They're going to throw the ball. They're going to mix in some run with some RPOs. They, like I said, on offense, they do everything well. Besides maybe the Mississippi State game where they only scored 10. Other than that, they've been putting up points, and it looks like they're going to keep doing it. They do a great job of not turning the ball over. So that is what it is, man. This is going to be a very potent offense. You know, like I said, they have at least 5, 6, 7 guys that have caught passes this year, like meaningful amount of passes this year. So we're just going to have to key in on that when we go against this offense. But very explosive offense, extremely, extremely disciplined. That's it, man. So let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, these guys are giving up 327.8 yards a game, with 219.4 of that being passing and 108.4 of that being rushing. Some strengths on defense for NC State. Their run defense and their front seven is probably going to be the best run defense in front seven besides Clemson that we faced all year. These guys give up less rushing yards than Clemson does a game, and you see how Clemson stifled our running game on Saturday. These guys only give up 108.4. I think Clemson was giving up 120 at the time. So just to put in perspective how dominant these guys are against the run. And that's going to be iron sharpening iron, right? When we go against NC State, because our dominant gene is running the ball, and their dominant gene is stopping the run. So that's going to cause real friction when we meet up with these guys. But it is what it is. That's some weaknesses. I would say the back end of their defense, their passing defense, they don't really have many sacks on the year. I think they have like 17 or 19, one of the two. Through 8 games is about 2 a game. And some teams have had success. Mississippi State had success throwing the ball against these guys. Miami had a lot of success throwing the ball against these guys. So now we do know that throwing the ball isn't our strong suit, No Nation, right? We are not the strongest of throwers of passing, but I mean that is a weakness for those guys. As far as key players go, you're all gonna remember this name here at defensive tackle. They have Corey Durden. Corey Durden is a transfer from Florida State, played with us for 3-4 years, transferred to NC State this year. Corey has 20 total tackles, 2.5 sacks on the year. But Corey is very, 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 very undisciplined and can get a lot of flags. I think he cost him the game against Miami, jumping off sides on the field goal and all that other stuff. They gave him automatic first down, which ended up being the touchdown. They ended up losing by 1. At defensive lineman, you have Daniel Joseph. And Daniel Joseph is 27 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, and a forced fumble on the year. At linebacker, you have Drake Do-It-All Thomas. He is the leading tackler on this team with 68 total tackles. He also has the leading sack getter on this team with 4 sacks. And he also is the leading interception guy on this team with 2 interceptions. That guy is going to do it all. You're going to hear his name all over the field on Saturday. Just remember the name, Drake Thomas. At the other linebacker position, you have Isaiah Moore. And Isaiah Moore has 43 total tackles, 1 sack, 3 passes defended, and 1 interception on the year. At cornerback, you have Derek Pitts Jr., and Derek Pitts Jr. has 30 tackles and 3 passes defended on the year. And they have 2 very good safeties in Tanner Ingle and Jakeem Harris. Tanner Ingle is the second leading tackler on the team with 47 tackles. He has 4 pass breakups and 1 interception. And then Jakeem Harris has 27 total tackles, 1 pass breakup, and 1 interception on the year. Just to give you a rundown on NC State's defense, they have shown that they can be beaten. Miami's shown that they can move the ball on those guys. Miami wasn't really successful running it, but through the air, they were torching those guys. Same with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech did not have much success running the ball, but they were able to move the ball. Clemson also was able to move the ball on those guys here and there. spottingly. So it is a positive, but this is a defense that is very, very good. It's probably going to be the second best defense, I would say, to Clemson that we're going to face all year. So with that being said, man, we just have to move forward and get ready, man. This is going to be a tough, hard-fought game, but I think we're ready for it. I do think we're ready for it, No Nation. 3 keys to an NC State win. Number 1, air it out / protect Leary. FSU has been known to get to the quarterback, if not sacking him, but hitting him or getting pressures and hurries on him this year with Jermaine Johnson, Kerr Thomas, just to name a few that can get after the quarterback. But yeah, number 1, air it out, man. NC State's strength is passing the ball. That is their strength. That is their biggest strength, is passing the ball. And our biggest weakness, to me, is defending the pass when it comes to defense. I think that is our biggest weakness. So if NC State wants to win this game, they need to come out, they need to air it out, but they need to also make sure they're protecting Leary while they're airing it out. Number 2, this is going to be there until this team shows me consistency in the passing game. I already told y'all in videos past. Make FSU beat you through the air. Like we said, this is probably going to be one of the best run defenses that we're going to face all year. What do we like to do? Run the ball. One of them is going to have to break. NC State cannot let us run the ball successfully, because if we do, I think that spells trouble for them as a defense, seeing that they already are bend but don't break in the passing game. If we can get some good runs off against them boys, listen, if we can get some good runs off against them boys, we got a chance. We got a chance. Number 3, turnover battle. NC State has to win the turnover battle. Like I said, their offense doesn't turn the ball over much, and their defense only has 10 takeaways on the year. So 10 takeaways out of 8 games, and that's only like one and a half takeaways a game. So like I said, the turnover battle is going to be big for NC State. I think they have to win the turnover battle in order to win this game. So my 3 keys for NC State win. Number 1, air it out and protect Leary. Number 2, make FSU beat you through the air. And number 3, win the turnover battle. Now let's go to 3 keys for a Florida State win, No Nation. Number 1, the O-line has to play better than they did last week, especially in the passing game. Especially in the passing game. It seemed like every time Clemson sent just 3, JT was getting his butt busted. Every time they sent only 3 linemen, JT was getting his butt busted. Our offensive line has to protect better. I think this is a game that we're going to have to throw the ball to win. And we're going to have to throw the ball successfully to win. And the only way we can do that, because we know JT gets them happy feet, man, once he gets hit or feels that pressure once in a while. We have to play better at offensive line. We got to open up holes in the run game. We got to protect Jordan Travis. We got to make sure we're doing our assignments. If we're zone blocking, we got to make sure we're doing the right things. You know what I'm saying? We can't have any ineligible players downfield and all that good stuff. So, yeah, number 2, get Jordan Travis involved with his legs. Last week, Venables and Clemson did a great job of spying. I even read somewhere where where Mike Norvell said that when Clemson was rushing 2, they had 2 spies. When Clemson was rushing 3 linemen, they had 2 spies on JT. So not only were they rushing 3 linemen in contained rush, but they also had 2 spies on Jordan Travis. And that did not allow him to get involved in the game with his legs, which I think if he'd have got involved a little more with his legs, extended some plays on like some 3rd and 8s, and we got some first downs, I think we could have pulled that game off. So what we have to do Saturday is we have to start Travis off, get him in some pocket moving situations if we're throwing the ball, do some read options, some RPOs, stuff like that, just to get him involved with his legs, to give him that confidence. Because it seems like he throws the ball better and he plays a lot better at the quarterback position when he's able to get free and get loose while with running the ball. And number 3, our DBs have to come up big this game. That's just from watching NC film on NC State in their last few games, and our DB's going to have to come up big, man. NC State is going to fling that ball, fling that pigskin everywhere. When I tell you they're going to fling that pigskin everywhere, and Our DBs have to come up big. There is no ifs and buts about it. So number one, Florida State for a win for us. O-line has to play better than it did last week. Number two, we got to get Jordan Travis involved with his legs. And number three, our DBs got to have the game of their life. Now let's get into some key matchups. Y'all should already know what my two key matchups are going to be. The FSU running game versus the NC State run D. And the NC State passing game versus the FSU pass D. FSU run game strength. NC State run D strength. Something has to give. I can't wait to watch that battle in the trenches. I can't wait to see who's going to win that battle between the FSU run game and the NC State run D. And then we got the NC State pass game versus the FSU pass D. NC State pass game, something they do best. FSU pass D, something we don't do awfully well as a whole. Now, we do get pressure on quarterbacks. We have caused turnovers this year, but we don't cover very well as a whole. So I'm looking forward to those two matchups, man, to see what's going on. And now, y'all already know what time it is. Score prediction time. I originally wrote down FSU winning 35-34. I'm sticking with my nose. Let me say that one more time. I'm sticking with my nose for the win. I'm just going to bring the score down just a tad bit, and I'm going to say FSU 27. FSU 27. NC State 24. Lock it in. FSU 27. NC State 24. Nole Nation, we getting this win this week. And then it's on to the tropical depressions down there in South Florida. Please do remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell. And as always, I am real, and I got a damn sports opinion.